Tom Sturridge is back as Dream in the Netflix series adaptation of The Sandman. This first installment is one of 3 for Season 2, so are you ready to spend time with the Endless? After a fateful reunion with his family, Dream of the Endless must face one impossible decision after another as he attempts to save himself, his kingdom, and the waking world from the epic fallout of his past misdeeds. To make amends, Dream must confront longtime friends and foes, gods, monsters, and mortals. But the path to forgiveness is full of unexpected twists and turns, and true absolution may cost Dream everything. As someone who hasn't read the graphic novels, I enjoyed the first season of The Sandman. It did jump around quite a bit, introducing us to so many of the different players within the story, though. For part 1 of Season 2, we don't jump around nearly as much, or at least we don't jump from character to character, never feeling like we spend any meaningful time with them. That was an issue within Season 1. The cast was overpacked for the story, so we leapt back and forth between what felt like long vignettes within a story that didn't totally know where it was headed. I still had a lot of fun with Season 1, enough to have me looking forward to this next round of storytelling. Tom Sturridge continues to be the moody and sulky Dream, creating a downtrodden and whisper-like dialogue delivery that mixes his calm demeanor with one that feels somewhat defeated and depressed. I was really gelling with this first portion. While we are taken to different locations, kingdoms, and eras, the story remains focused on Dream and then his quest to right wrongs that he's done. The pacing for the season, it's deliberate and patient, but I hesitate to call it slow because there was a certain urgency that carried through so many of the sequences. Dream has finished rebuilding his kingdom, but feels regret for condemning Nada to hell, and so he's on a quest to save her, and all along the way encountering new adventures, kind of like Odysseus on his voyage home. The interactions are sometimes cryptic, but typically laced with layered emotional depth, allowing us to watch a family member of Dream's, or even an adversary, point out weaknesses or past errors that end up piercing him and making him even more vulnerable to the taunts. Most of the people or entities that he comes into contact with know how to push his buttons and egg him on, grinding away on sore spots that have gnawed on him and left him raw and then impulsively responsive. But despite all of these jabs, Dream still manages to have this much larger long game in the works. He might make it seem like he's defeated or weakened within the moment, but he usually is going to come out on top, even if it means sacrificing more of himself or his contentment. I love the variety of characters we get this season. Of course, we have the return of many that we met in Season 1, like Desire, Death, Lucifer Morningstar, Lucien, and Matthew, but we also get introductions to characters that are familiar from other mythologies or stories, but are new to this series. There's Odin, Thor, Loki, Orpheus, Destiny, Puck, Destruction, and Delirium. Those are just a sampling of a few of the new players. And while they may not all feature prominently throughout the entire first part, their inclusion in the story adds dimension to keep the plot complex, but not bogged down or bouncing from character arc to character arc. Part 1 focuses a lot on guilt and regret, showcasing how it can haunt for lifetimes. Well, I guess, only if you're an Endless. But it also the way that it can destroy relationships and create rippling effects through many touch points. This is most effective through 2 individual arcs that deal directly with Dream. The whole impetus for his journey in Part 1 is to quell his shame at flippantly dismissing those that he cares for. Some of the episodes, while typically packed with story development and excitement, they can also be loaded down with some unnecessary fluff. I think to an episode where just about everybody and their uncle showed up to Dream's kingdom, and he decides to feed and entertain them. Well, while some scheming and plotting are taking place, we're also treated, or more likely distracted, by this cringy magic show with Cain and Abel. Now, I'm pretty sure the reasoning was to give the duo some screen time and showcase just a little bit of silliness, but it didn't translate well, and it just felt like forced nonsense. I'd rather have a shorter episode than one that's stuffed simply to fill a time requirement. And as it stands, the episodes range in length from 45 minutes to a bit over an hour. So to have variance in runtime, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, unless they're padding the time with drivel. For me, the most impactful sequences we get involve the conversations between Dream and his siblings. Sometimes they're snarky, other times emotionally deep, but they all work in tandem to further inform us on who Dream really is, and then provide clues and foreshadowing on what he might do or encounter as a result of his remorseful actions. It's satisfying to watch Dream get epiphanies from conversations with siblings that he either discounts or has beef with. I mean, it's kind of an immortal humbling, but also one that makes Dream so much more of an engaging and endearing character. And when Sturridge is stoic and almost emotionless, it makes Dream difficult to root for, or at least connect with. But once the story allows Sturridge to showcase a good range of emotions, that's when the character becomes dynamic and captivating. I was so used to seeing Dream as this quietly powerful entity, but at times, here, we get to see him way more animated and involved with schemes happening around him. And the contrast in the emotional swings is exciting and a bit shocking, but effective nonetheless. I'm not a fan of splitting up this season into 3 parts. We get 6 episodes for part 1, 5 episodes in part 2, and then 1 final episode to conclude the season and the series. And despite the separation of parts, this first installment, it is a solid opening and it works to provide us with an overarching and full look at Dream's story. The drama's infectious thanks to dynamic and enthralling characterizations, and then the pacing works to maintain a subtle urgency across the episodes, consistently building to a mini climax that whets the appetite for what's next. The special effects help to transport us to creatively imagined worlds and kingdoms, filled with unique and odd characters that make the environment varied and intriguing. I could do without the unnecessary tangent excess that bloats the story without reason, but thankfully, these are minor issues that don't arise often, instead allowing the majority of the narrative to focus intently on the emotional gut punches we watch Dream endure. There's no sex or nudity, some profanity, and some violence. I'm not going to give a rating yet to Season 2, but I'm really enjoying this so far, and I hope that the remaining portions, that they continue their focus on Dream and his progression. Are you a fan of the series? Have you been looking forward to this season, or have you just tapped out because of the time that was in between the storytelling? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.